everyone. Today we're going to work on Unit 8, Quiz number 3, Practice, Graphing Quadratics in Intercept Form. We have two practice problems here. 1, 2. Okay, let's go to number 1. So our first equation is y equals x minus 1, x minus 5. Sorry, so y equals x minus 1 times x minus 5. Okay, what are we going to do first? We're going to find the axis of symmetry and the vertex. That's going to be our step 1. So we're going to take the equation and we are going to say x minus 1 equals 0. That's what we're going to write right there. And then x minus 5 equals 0. We're going to do a little basic algebra here. We're going to cancel out the 1 on both sides and cancel out the 5 on both sides. So now we have x equals 1 and x equals 5. Well, what is the number between 1 and 5? If you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3 is in the middle. So 3 is our axis of symmetry. Right up there. See how we have AOS equals 3. Boom. Okay. So let's see. Now we need to figure out what y equals. So we're going to take the 3 and substitute it back into the equation. 3 minus 1 times 3 minus 5. So 3 minus 1 is 2 times 3 minus 5, which is negative 2. 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. So y equals negative 4. So that is our vertex, 3, negative 4. You go over, 1, 2, 3, count down 4. Plot your point. Okay, what are we going to do next? Well, we know what our x-intercepts are, right? We know it's 1 and 5, so we're going to write them as 1, 0, and 5, 0. And we can put them on the graph right there. See where I have my arrow? 5, 0, 1, 0. Okay. Now we are going to use, we're going to start to graph. So we're going to use the 1, 3, 5, 7 pattern. And how do I know that? Well, let's look at the original equation right here. Y equals x minus 1 times x minus 5. Here's your A right here. I don't see a sign, a negative sign, and I don't see a number, so A is going to equal to 1. So let's start to graph. We are on our vertex. We go up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, up 3 over 1, up 3 over 1. We already have our x-intercepts there. Up 5 over 1, and then up 5 over 1. Oh, and then there we go. We have our y-intercept, which is 0, 5. Because the point landed right on the y-axis there. Draw your graph. So let's look. We have, so far, what do we have? Oh, we also know that since we went up, because it was a negative, we have a minimum vertex there. So your domain is all real numbers. Your range will be y is greater than or equal to negative 4. Because we have a minimum vertex here, we cannot go below that. That's where our point starts, and so we went up. Why do we go up? Once again, because we do not have a negative sign right in front of the equation here. Our y-intercepts are 1, 0, and 5, 0. And then our y-intercept is 0, 5. Okay, so I have a lot of writing there, but that explains the problem. So I'm hoping that if you break it down in the steps, you can figure it out. Okay, let's go to number 2. This one is going to be a little bit different because we're going to have to factor. Okay, so we have y equals x squared minus 6x plus 8. What are we going to do first? Well, we're going to label the equation A, B, and C. Okay, we have our factor, our x factor here, so we put A at the top, that's our C. B, which is our negative 6, B goes on the bottom. Okay, so now we have to figure out what added together equals negative 6, but multiplied together factors of 8. So let's see. Well, negative 2 and negative 4 work. Negative 2 plus negative 4 is negative 6. Negative 2 times negative 4 is positive 8. Okay, so now we can write y equals x minus 2 and x minus 4. So when we take x minus 2 equals 0 and x minus 4 equals 0, just like we did in problem number 1 when we were trying to figure out the axis of symmetry in our vertex, we have x equals 2 and x equals 4. Just adding 2 to both sides, x equals 2. Adding 4 to both sides, x equals 4. What number is between 2 and 4? We know if we go 2, 3, 4, 3 is in the center. So we have an axis of symmetry of 3, just like we did in problem number 1. Just worked out that way. We also know that our x-intercepts are 2 and 4. So we have them right there on the x-axis, 2, 4, 2 and 0, and 4 and 0. But now we also need to figure out what our vertex is. So what is our y? We already have our x, so now we need our y. So what we're going to do is go up to here, and we are going to write the original equation, which is y equals x minus 2, x minus 4. And we put in, we substitute 3 for x, because that's our axis of symmetry, so 3 minus 2, 3 minus 4. So y equals 1, 3 minus 2 is 1, 3 minus 4 is negative 1. So now we have 1 times negative 1, which is negative 1. Y equals negative 1. So our vertex is 3, negative 1. Which we plotted right there. So if you're up here, you're going to go 1, 2, 3, and down to negative 1. And so just go ahead and look at that for a second. And then we're going to come down. What are we going to do next? For our next step, well, we're going to graph using the 1, 3, 5, 7 pattern. Axis of symmetry is 3 there, like I said. And our vertex is 3, negative 1. We have our x-intercepts. Why are we doing the 1, 3, 5 pattern? Well, if we look at our equation here, this is our A. We do not have a negative there, and we know that A is 1. We also know that since there isn't a negative, it's going to be a minimum vertex, so our graph is going to open up. So we're going to go up 1 over 1, up 3 over 1, up 5 over 1. So here we go. 1 over 1. So we already have our x-intercepts where the points meet. And then we're going to go up 3 over 1, up 3 over 1, up 5 over 1, up 5 over 1 on this side. And we also have our y-intercept, which is 0, positive 8, because the point landed on 8 on our y-intercept. Okay, let's see, what else do we need here? So we have our vertex 3, -1. We know it's a minimum. Our axis of symmetry is x equals 3. Our domain is ARN, which is all real numbers. Our range is y is greater than or equal to -1. And how do I know that? Because we have a minimum vertex. Y cannot be any less than that point, so it's going to be greater than or equal to -1. Our x-intercepts are 2, 0, and 4, 0. And our y-intercept is 0, 8. We just had to do one extra step here with the factoring. And remember to label A, B, C. Factor the problem. And then you can have your equation here equal it to 0 to find your axis of symmetry and your vertex. When you substitute it back into the equation, and solve for the next. All right, I hope this helped. Going a little bit slow here so you can sink it all in. I hope that you can stop this video when you're going through the problems if you need to look over some of the things I wrote down. And I hope it helps. Good luck. Bye.